2.4 circles. So the standard form of an equation of a circle with radius r and center hk is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So it's just saying you have a center at certain point hk, and the radius goes out to the circle, and then the point goes around the circle. General form of a circle is x squared plus y squared plus x plus y plus c equals 0, which just means you FOIL everything out from standard form, so you multiply. The unit circle, which is used in calculus, trig, and pre-calc, it's the standard form of the equation of a circle with radius r with center at 0, 0, and it's x squared plus y squared equals r squared. So let's write the standard form of the equation of the circle with radius 5 and center negative 3, 6. So we have our h, we have our k, it tells us our r is 5. So we'll have x minus h, which is negative 3 squared, plus y minus k, which is 6 squared, and that equals 5 squared. So we can just clean this up to x plus 3 squared plus y minus 6 squared equals 25. Now, in order to graph, you have to be in standard form. So if it doesn't look like this, you cannot graph your circle, and you'll see something like that at the end. So what we first need, we need two things. The first thing we need is the center, and then the radius. So the center is the opposite of what is given. So the opposite of positive 3 is negative 3. The opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. And the radius is always square rooted. So square root of 16 is 4. And that's because we work backwards from what we already did. So if you want to go from here to here, this way, we plug it in, signs change, and we square it. So the opposite way is we take the opposite signs out and we square root it. So the first thing we're going to do is plot the center at negative 3, 2. And then we're going to use the radius to create 4 more points. So at the center, I go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Go back to the center, go left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Go back to the center, go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Go back to the center, go right 4. And then as best as you can, just connect those dots. I'm not going to find the intercepts in this video. You were given the PDFs of the notes, and finding intercepts of any equation is identical, so there's really nothing new. But if you need more help with it, just go ahead and ask me. But we're not going to find intercepts in this video. Alright, let's graph this equation. So we have x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 6y plus 12. Now, that's not in standard form, so we cannot graph it yet. So we can make it into standard form, and there's a couple steps that we have to follow. So you want nothing in front of x squared and y squared. And if you look at x squared, y squared, we don't have anything in front. So we're good to go. So our second step So you want to group everything with an x together, group everything with a y together, and then move over c. So we're going to subtract 12 at c, and then we're going to do grouping. So we're going to group our x's together. There's always going to be a plus in the center. And then we're going to group our y's together. And we know that equals negative 12. Alright, from here, we're going to complete the square. To complete the square, it's a formula, which is b over 2 squared. So we're going to take our b's for each group and plug it into our formula. So for our x's, we're going to do b over 2 squared, and b is the number that's just with normal x, not x squared, just normal x. So we'll have 4 over 2 squared, which is 2 squared, and that's 4. We're going to do the same thing for the y's, so b over 2 squared, and when we do that we get negative 6 over 2 squared, so negative 3 squared is positive 9. Now we're going to add that to the x's and to the y's appropriately. So we're going to do x squared plus 4x plus 4, and this plus 4, I got it from right here. Go ahead and wrap it in parentheses. Sorry, wrong color. Always a plus in the middle. And then we're going to do the same thing with the y's. So we'll have y squared minus 6y plus 9. And I got that plus 9 from right there. And since I added it to one side, I need to add it to both sides. So I'm going to do plus 4 and plus 9. From there, after we do that, we're going to factor. So our fourth step is to factor. So it's actually quite easy to factor this. It's always going to be your variables squared plus variables squared and let's simplify the right side, so negative 12, 4, and 9, and we get 1. So what's going to go here is whenever we have to be, that's what we're going to put. So if we look back up where we have to be, right here, it's 2, so we put plus 2. And we're going to do the same thing to this one. So we see, let me get a different color. Kind of out of colors, I'll just use white. What's going to go here is when we have to be for our y's. So when we have to be for our y's, we got negative 3. So we're going to put negative 3 here. So we have our center and our radius now. We have a center of negative 2, 3, and then we have a radius of the square root of 1, which is 1. So we're going to go to the center at negative 2, 3, and then with the radius of 1, we're going to go up 1, back to the center, left 1, back to the center, down 1, back to the center, right 1. And then as best as you can, connect those dots. Alright, we're going to do the same thing again, but now do you notice that we have a coefficient in front of x squared and y squared? So since we have a coefficient here, we need to divide everything by the coefficient, which is 2. So when we do, we're left with x squared plus y squared minus 6x plus 4y minus 12 equals 0. And then from there, we're just going to do the same thing. So I suggest you doing it on your own, so pause the video and try it on your own. Okay, hopefully you paused it. Now you're back, and let's see if we get the same answer. So the first thing we're going to do is group our x's and our y's and move over the 12. So we'll have x squared minus 6x, and there's always a plus in between. And then we'll have y squared plus 4y, and we need to add this 12 over to move it. So we'll have equals positive 12. And then we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to do b over 2 squared. So negative 6 over 2 squared. That's negative 3 squared, which is positive 9. Same thing, b over 2 squared. So 4 over 2 squared. So 2 squared equals 4. And we're going to add that to the appropriate places. So we'll have x squared minus 6x plus 9. Always a plus in between. And then we'll have y squared plus 4y plus 4. And then that equals 12 plus 9 plus 4. And from here, we're just going to factor. So when we factor, remember it's whatever you got when you have to be. So when we have to be, we got negative 3. So we'll have x minus 3 squared plus y. And then when we have to be, we got 2. We got 2. So I want to put that right here. So when we have to be for the y's, we got positive 2. and that equals 12 plus 9 plus 4, which is 25. And it is squared right there. I forgot to square it. So now we can go ahead and take our center and our radius. So our center is the opposite sign, so 3, negative 2, and our radius is the square root of 25, which is 5. So we're going to plot our center first at 3, negative 2, and then we're going to use the radius to make 4 more points. So with the radius, I'm going to go up 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back to the center, go left 5, go back to the center, go down 5, go back to the center, go right 5. And as best as you can, connect those dots. Alrighty, so a Ferris wheel has a maximum height of 331 feet and a wheel diameter of 310 feet. Find an equation for the wheel if the center of the wheel is on the y-axis and y represents the height above the ground. So let's draw this. So a Ferris wheel is a circle, and like that little thing in the middle is what holds it all together. And here's the ground. So this is our Ferris wheel. So it tells us the maximum height of this wheel is 331 feet. So from here down to the ground, we have 331 feet. It tells us the diameter is 310 feet, so all the way across. So from here to here, we have 310 feet. I actually like to put that right here. So from here to here, it's 310 feet. And then we can find everything else. We can find here to here, because isn't it the difference from 331 to 310? So 331 minus 310, and we get 21. So this distance right here is 21. And then we can find the radius. We can find from here to here, because isn't the radius half the diameter? So the radius is half the diameter, which is 155. So because we need to write the equation for this, we know that we're going to work with x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So we have r. Cool, we have r now. Now we just need h and k. You never mess with your x's and your y's. They stay x and y. So x and h, those go together. So h is the same thing as x. So if you're on a Ferris wheel, are you moving left or right at all? No, you're just rotating. So our x is 0 because you're on the y-axis. It tells you if you're on the y-axis, your x is 0. And then all we have to do is find k. So k represents ground to the center. So we know ground here, the ground to the center, we know that it's 155 plus 21. And we get 176, and that's our k. So let's plug everything in. We have x minus, sorry, that's supposed to be h right here, x minus 0 squared plus y minus 176 squared equals 155 squared. So we have x squared plus y minus 176 squared equals 155 squared, which is 24,025. And that's our equation.